7 super controversial MLB moments ever. Hey guys, welcome back to Homer Hub. Today we'll talk about super controversial MLB moments ever. Let's head into it. Number 7. Frank McCourt's exit from the Dodgers.
In other news now, more calls for Dodgers owner Frank McCourt to sell the team. Today, protesters gathered near Dodgers Stadium demanding that fans boycott the game against the San Diego Padres.
Frank McCourt purchased the Dodgers in 2004, and the team performed fairly well during his tenure as owner. However, he and his then wife Jamie chose to divorce in 2009, and that's when things got ugly. The fight had one argument: who would keep the team. A settlement was reached in which Frank would likely keep the Dodgers, but it hinged upon a TV deal that needed to be approved by MLB. Unfortunately, the deal was not approved, and the team was forced to file for bankruptcy. After months of legal battles, McCourt sold the team to an ownership group headed by former Los Angeles Lakers star Magic Johnson for $2 billion. His final years with the team weren't the most disgraceful in baseball history, but the bitter divorce battle becoming so public and thus spilling onto the field, plus just how McCourt's tenure fell apart, has a horrible black mark on it. Number 6. Miami Marlins fire sale 2012. It's becoming more and more clear that Marlins owner Jeffrey Loria doesn't care about fielding a winning team. He got the citizens of Miami to pay for a new stadium and traded away all of the high-cost stars the team signed last season, and then some, after finishing last in the NL East. Once again, the Marlins are at the bottom of the barrel and will field a team that consists mostly of unknowns. This goes against everything baseball stands for. The point is to put together a team that can win and be successful, not just take the luxury tax money and use it for personal gain. It's time for Commissioner Bud Selig to make Loria step down and install an owner who actually cares. Number 5. Barry Bonds trial.
There is number 100 and the Pirates lead 3-0.
Controversy always seems to follow Barry Bonds around. In 2003, when the Bay Area Laboratory Cooperative, aka BALCO, was being investigated by the government, the power-hitting outfielder testified before the grand jury and stated that he did not use the company or any other to try and accumulate steroids, nor did they actually use steroids. Bonds was later found to be lying and was charged with both perjury and obstruction of justice in 2007. His trial began in 2012. His trial began in 2011, and he was convicted on the latter charge. Sentencing has yet to happen. This put a cap on one of the worst moments in baseball's steroid era, but not only was Bonds a shameless PED user, but he never came forward and admitted it. On top of that, according to some, he was a grade A jerk. He was no fun to watch in his prime, but baseball is easily better off without Bonds. Number 4. Kennesaw Mountain Landis prevents integration. Though he denied it, MLB's first commissioner made a great effort to keep baseball from being integrated. The most notable instance of his segregationist attitude occurred in 1942, when famed Cleveland Browns and later Chicago White Sox owner Bill Veeck wanted to buy the Philadelphia Phillies. The plan was to fill the roster with Negro League stars, but Landis supposedly intervened. The sale was blocked and baseball remained a separate entity from the Negro Leagues. Landis passed away in 1944, and 3 years later, Jackie Robinson made his debut, setting the tone for the game's history up until today. Number 3. Pete Rose bets on baseball.
For 14 years, your case has hovered over baseball. Did you bet on baseball?
Yes, I did, and that was my mistake, not coming clean a lot earlier.
Pete Rose is easily the best contact hitter in baseball history. He's the all-time leader in hits with 4,256, and he played in 17 All-Star games. Is that Rose is not enshrined in the Hall of Fame? Why, you ask? Well, in 1989, Rose was discovered to have been gambling, especially betting on baseball games. The worst part of it was that he was rumored to bet against the Cincinnati Reds, whom he was managing at the time, was the commissioner at time, and this ensuing investigation resulted in Rose agreeing to be put on baseball's permanent ineligibility list. Rose cannot make the Hall of Fame or participate in baseball activities with the MLB team, and his number cannot even be retired. As one of the game's best players, this is nothing but a disgraceful waste. Number 2. Marge Scott's racism. I simply don't know where to begin with Marge Scott. The former Cincinnati Reds owner is one of the most controversial figures in baseball history, and not in the good way. From using racial slurs to describe some of her players, to making homophobic remarks about piercings, to pretty much praising Nazis, the fact that she was allowed to get away with publicly speaking such horrible and ignorant opinions is borderline terrifying, especially the now public nature of owning a baseball team. Fortunately, while facing suspensions for her remarks, Scott sold her majority share of the Reds in 1999. The black mark she left on the game may have disappeared then, but Reds fans will never forget about her and the things she said. Number 1. The Black Sox scandal. Ask the people the worst moment in baseball history, and their thought will immediately go to the Black Sox scandal. The year was 1919, and a number of players on the Chicago White Sox were angry at the cheap nature of the team owner, Charles Comiskey. Thus, with the help of local gangster Arnold Rothstein, 8 players agreed to throw the World Series as a way of getting back at the owner. Those 8 were first baseman Chick Gandil, third baseman Buck Weaver, outfielders Happy Felsch and shoeless Joe Jackson, shortstop Swede Risberg, pitchers Eddie Sickott and lefty Williams, and infielder Fred McMullen. Sure enough, though Weaver and Jackson hit .324 and .375 in the World Series against the Cincinnati Reds, the team underperformed and lost in 8 games, as the World Series was a best-of-9 format back then. An investigation followed the next season, and all 8 players were brought to trial. They were acquitted, but newly appointed commissioner, Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis, wanted to make an example of the 8. He banned them all for life, and to this day, despite being one of the best players of the generation, Jackson is not in the Hall of Fame. The circumstances surrounding the scandal were shady, as Comiskey was well known for being cheap, but that's no excuse for compromising the integrity of the game. Out of all of baseball's awful moments, this is easily the worst. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our videos in the future. Also, watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video.